So I'm not trying to ruffle the feathers of most agents, but most likely that's who I'm going to get most of my comments from. So my name is Wayne Scott. I'm a real estate broker here in the state of Florida. I work for Neat Realty. I'm the owner. And I've been practicing real estate for well over 8 years here in the state of Florida. Now, when I was taking my exam, there was something that I discovered, and while learning about this, I thought, hey, this doesn't seem right. But then again, I'd say a majority of the real estate brokerages here in Florida practice this way or do business this way. And that is the transactional agent. Now, what does that mean? Well, you can be a transactional agent, you can be a single agent, and you can have a no brokerage relationship. We're just going to focus on the first two. So that being said, here is the thing. A lot of times people come up and they're like, oh yeah, I have a fiduciary responsibility to my clients, and as the buyer or the seller of a property and that agent representing you, most of the time you are not their clients. Your relationship is with the broker. The agent works for the broker. The deal is owned by the broker, not by the agent. Anything the agent tells you and promises you, they're doing that with the consent of the broker. If the broker says, no, we can't do something, it's not going to happen with that agent. That's the way it is. In that sense, those agents that are transactional agents do not have a fiduciary responsibility. Look that up, understand what it means. You're not their clients, and whether it's the seller role or the buyer, which means that they're there to facilitate the transaction. It doesn't mean that they're practicing in a way that's unethical or dishonest or anything like that or against the law. It's just that there is a difference between someone that has your best interest or the deal's best interest. So when I learned that, I thought, hey, that's not really the way I would want to be treated if I was on the other end of this. And I'm not sure how many people are aware of this and how many times it's disclosed. Most of the time you meet someone, it's a relationship. They don't get into the fine minutia of all these things and discuss it out. So that being said, you sign the paperwork, you're just taking it at face value. They're telling you what you need to know, which for the most part, that's it. And they're working for you. They're helping you. They're facilitating that transaction. I've always taken on the role of I spend your money as if it were my money, and if it's in the best interest for you. I have a securities license, which I learned about fiduciary responsibility and obligation to my clients. So it's in their best interest when I do a transaction that will ultimately benefit their ultimate goal, their long-term goals. In a real estate transaction, I never hear that type of planning ever done. It's usually, what do you want? What are you looking for? And lately, we've been talking about this. There are a lot of homes that go into contract, they close, they end up regretting the home they sell, or they end up in a bad situation, and it's not ideal. But had they spent more time talking about the situation that, they're moving there for, their lifestyle, they probably would have ended up staying in that home a lot longer, in my opinion. So, with that being said, if you've ever dealt with a real estate transaction and you still speak with that person here in the state of Florida, ask, were they acting as a single agent or a transactional agent? And do you think if you could go back in time and make a preference as to which role you would like them to be. Would you want them in that fiduciary role where they're looking out for your best interest, or the transaction? It's my opinion. So let me know what you think.